Hey everybody, welcome back. It is Sarah and I am bringing you day 6 of the Summer Craft Challenge. Today's prompt is to use a cut file. So this is a cut file I am using. I'm actually using two different ones. The one that is all welded together comes that way, and I will leave a link in the description box as to the names of the cut files. And then all those singular flowers and leaves are a different cut file. So I decided that I wanted to back all of those flowers, and I decided that I wanted to have some of them separate from the one bunch of that single cut file that's all together. I wanted to have all of those separate so that I could pop them up and scatter them around the page. So through the magic of editing, you will see that I have backed all of the flowers in papers that I have in my stash, or in my scrap bin, I should say. So this is going to be a single photo layout of an event that I just put on, and I'm hoping you can tell that I have figured out how to speed up the video so you don't have to watch me do all the tedious stuff, and you also don't have to see the video cutting in and out. So I wanted a real big pop of color there on the left, and I wanted to include these two 4x6 card mats that I had made, and I had showed you a little bit earlier that I had stitched around them in a yellow. So they've been hanging around my scrapbook table, and so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put them down and use them as a layer for this photo. So many of the papers that I used were 6x6, and I just went through and grabbed colors that complemented our dresses. So this is a picture from an event. I work for the American Heart Association, and I am the director of the Heart Ball here in the Metro Detroit area. And so we had our large gala a few weeks ago, and this was a few of us getting our pictures taken. So I wanted to document it, obviously. So as I said, I wanted that big, bold pop of color there on the left because I knew there was going to be a lot of color with the cut file on the right. So I've adhered the center portion of the cut file down, but I'm popping up some of those leaves and a few of the flowers as well. And I'm keeping this in just so you can see kind of my mindset of how and where I place some of these. I really thought about the balance of color and knowing that my friend Laura, her dress is bright red in the photo. I wanted to make sure that I had a lot of red scattered around the page, as well as colors that were going to complement the photo. So that rectangle piece of yellow paper that I used, that is from an Amy Tangerine 6x6 paper pad, and it has teal stripes on it, so I thought it would be perfect for an area to journal. And I don't have a ton to say, but obviously I want to say something about this evening because we had a great time, and I wanted to make sure that I captured that. So you see me continuing to hit my phone because prior to the video starting, I did lay this out so that I was not just pushing cut files around the layout. So I just keep referring to where I had placed these die cuts, or not die cuts, but cut file elements. Some of the patterns that I included were had a very specific direction, so that yellow flower in that bottom cluster had little purple hearts on them, so I wanted to make sure that the hearts were going in the right direction. So some of them, the pattern itself dictated how they were laid out. So here I'm just going to use some of these dimensionals to pop up this photo. I'm not going to mat it. I didn't really want to add any more weight to that area of the photo. I figured it was a pretty neutral background. We're on a balcony overlooking the water, and our dresses really draw your eye in, and then the little flowers that I place around will bring more attention. So I thought those white cards with the machine stitching around it were a nice detail to add without getting too pattern crazy, because I do love my patterns. So here I am just showing you that out of all of those, I only had a few left over, and I figured I will be able to use those on a greeting card. So looking at the layout, I thought that I really needed a pop of purple over there to the right. While there is a lot going on, there's not a lot of that dark color that is in that 6x6 piece of paper that there is on the left. And so grabbing one of those 6x6 papers that I had pulled out, I decided just to tuck some in. And I'll play with this for a moment, but I really end up figuring out where I want it. And so I thought that gave just enough weight that it pulled your eye over and balanced it a little bit better. And I do believe I add, I'm trying to look at the layout. Yeah, I added that extra little flower there at the end to extend it. So now I'm going to hunt through my thickers, and I don't think I edited this out, so I'll just talk through my thought process. So the colors in the cut file are very saturated reds and yellows and oranges with little pops of purple. And there really wasn't a super dark color, as in like a really saturated black. But I love those thickers there that you see off to the right. And I thought if I could work those in, I knew I could add elements of black to compensate for that dark color. But the thickers that you see on the left side are ones that I just got, and I put them I included them rather in a haul video that is already up on my YouTube channel by the time this project goes live. But I really like them. They are a chipboard. So I'm looking through my stash of thickers, and I'm trying to find some of those reds, some of the oranges, and I'm finding the reds okay, but I'm not finding any of the oranges that really match. So, and I wanted a balance of size and style. So what looks like a piece of red paper is actually some stickers that come in a Close to My Heart kit. So these are simple stories. I'm sure many of you have them. I love them. And I'm just looking through to see what I have that might work. I think I want a tile, but depending on what I use for my title will depend on how many fonts I need. So what's going to end up happening is I'm trying to find the letters for a title called Hot Havana Nights. And that was the theme of the gala that we were at. And I wanted the Havana to be in that pink and red thicker that you see there off to the left. And I'm trying to figure out the letters that I have to spell out hot, and then which letters I'm going to use for the word nights. And I really want those black ones on there. So I'm just going to go for it. I'm not going to overthink it. This is my layout and I want those letters on there. So I'm just making sure that I have the letters that I need. And now I am searching for a piece of wax paper. So this word is going to be nights, and I'm going to spell it out on this piece of wax paper so that I can work on the placement. And it's going to end up going pretty much where I start putting it, or where I put it the first time. So right there above the photo, it just kind of perfectly fits right in there. And because these are foam alphas, it's not bothered by the fact that my photo has been popped up. So I mentioned in an earlier video that I am not a good speller to begin with, and so to spell backwards is even more of a challenge. but I caught myself. So here we have Havana Nights, and I really wanted to bring in again another design, and I was really looking for a tile sticker. Yes, a tile sticker. And I realized that I need to replenish those because I'm sure I'm not the only one that uses. I love those Simple Stories stickers, alpha stickers. So this is what I settle with. I shouldn't say settle. This is what I select. And it is a exact match to the yellow of my journaling box. And so those three little tile stickers, excuse my head, spell out hot. So my title is Hot Havana Nights. And I'm now just peeling off those foam letters. And while they can sometimes be a little fiddly, it doesn't take much to get them back in their right layout design, or their right, oh gosh, I can't even think of the word, how they're supposed to look. Their right alignment. There we go. So I had to make sure that I found the little dot for the eye, and I did. And now I'm just seeing that I have a few of these extra leaves around that I had done, and so I just stick them in. And I really, really love the way this layout ended up turning out. So I knew that I needed to bring some of that black around the page, and I didn't want to do big black splatters because I thought that could go horribly wrong. And I didn't want to do anything too crazy. So what I'll end up doing is really just using enamel dots. And so you saw me pull out my box or my binder of enamel dots, and I will end up going with that. So this little section up here was driving me crazy. I just needed something to fill in that space. Didn't need it to go all the way to the edge of the page, but needed it to fill in that a little bit more. So I thought that little flower was perfect. And it matches that yellow. So it kind of, while it doesn't read as one piece, it kind of reads as one piece. So I'm just writing my journaling. It says, "This night was fantastic. Our first heart ball as a team. Hosting the Hot Havana Nights was a dream come true. Can't wait for 2020. And then I just wrote the date. And later on, I will end up below the bottom edge of that purple 6x6 piece of paper. I will end up writing who the people are in the photo, and where the event took place. So already this has added a little bit more weight because I wrote it in black, and I decided that this was a great way to kind of enclose the layout. I do this quite often. I know a lot of people do. Sometimes when you have white backgrounds, I'm not used to using a lot of white cardstock. I definitely love my patterns. So when I use white cardstock, sometimes I feel like the edges just kind of keep going. And I liked to bring it all in with those just hand-drawn borders. And I just did one line around. Sometimes I do two and let it go a little wonky, but this time I didn't. So now I'm back to my enamel dots binder, and what I will do is I'm actually going to put the dots kind of tone on tone. So the red dots I place around on the red flowers or the red areas, and I kind of do that for the rest of the colors as well. I do red, I do some orange, and then I do green on the leaves. And it's, again, just because everything is very paper heavy, and while some of the elements have been lifted with pop dots, it's still a lot of just paper and not a lot of other textures. There's no stitching on here. It's paper, paper and thickers, and I love that. I shouldn't say there's not stitching. There is stitching around the borders of those white cards, but it's hard to see. It's a detail that you see when you really look for it. So my whole reasoning for placing more enamel dots around the page is really just to give it a little bit more dimension and texture. So then the other way that I bring some black in is I am going to sprinkle black enamel dots in the centers of all of these smaller flowers. And I start putting them around the journaling and just realize it's too much. It's drawing attention to the areas that I don't care to have attention drawn to. Not that I don't like the area, it just served no purpose. So a lot of the smaller flowers, as well as that flower next to the title, are going to get black enamel dots. And I like how it ends. It ends up being just enough black that satisfies my need. So I learned this little storage technique from Crafty Jen Scow. She keeps hers on all of her enamel dots in rainbow order on some, not enamel, on some plastic. And then she just grabs the ring and uses the dots. So I decided that I had this binder kicking around. I would do it that way. So last thing I'm going to do is add some shine with some Heidi Swap Gold Color Shine. And I'm really happy with the sprinkles. I don't always like them. I get a really good one right there. Fills in that space nicely. So I am super happy with this layout. So I think I'm going to show you a few close-ups. You guys, this is number 6. Thank you for stopping by. Please like and subscribe this before you leave, and I will see you tomorrow.